It's the last round before drops start to put themselves in the picture. It's the last opportunity for some to say, I've got 7 banker results in the back pocket. After today, everyone is going to look at each other and say, now I just need to better my worst result. For the first time here in the Club Series, we are jumping forward into Summit Point Raceway, a track which has a very soft space in the hearts of many drivers. Later on tonight, for the 2 races we got coming up for the MX5 World Sim Series, we will be at Knockhill Circuit right up in Scotland, and my word, will there be a battle cry from many drivers there. But welcome to the party, welcome to the conversation. It's your Simify MX5 World Sim Series. My name is Jake Sperry. Alongside with me today in the commentary box is Mike Nouse. Daniel Costello is in the director's chair. He's using the cameras provided by Dougie Beard. But we start our running just a stone's throw away from the Shenandoah River, as noted in one brilliant song known as Country Roads. We'll see what this country road of a sim racing circuit has to offer with our GSRC track guide of Summit Point.
Welcome to Summit Point Raceway. Once the stomping grounds of IMSA and Trans Am vehicles thundering through the West Virginia mountains, this circuit is now mainly used for club racing and performance driver training. Situationed a couple hours west of Washington, D.C., there are actually 2 entirely separate circuits that can be tackled here on the iRacing service. The main circuit is just shy of 2 miles in length, including 10 turns, and can be chopped off into the short version, which has 9 turns and only 1.5 miles for a lap. The Jefferson Circuit is its own 1.1 mile piece of pavement with a mere 7 turns and uniquely can be run in reverse. Both tracks are astonishingly narrow and provide quite a technical challenge. On the main course, the most popular place to pass is down into the first corner hairpin. While some drivers may try a brave dive into turn 5, the frighteningly fast-kinked entry makes it prone to things going wrong quickly. Between there and turn 9, it's essentially a single-file affair with nothing but tight and twisty bends snaking their way around. The Jefferson Circuit isn't used as often, and because there are a few straights long enough to get a run on someone, most drivers are forced to wait for a mistake to pounce on. Otherwise, qualifying will be key. Believe it or not, IMSA's GT class raced here in the late 80s, and even Can-Am stopped in back in 86. While it probably sees much more competition here in the virtual world, it's easy to see why plenty of real drivers love to take their vehicles out to try and tackle this historic Appalachian venue.
A circuit which every sim racer should know like the back of their hand. One of the original circuits here to iRacing all the way back from its inception in the late 2000s. Mike, you take this circuit and it, in every single sense, is a club circuit. From the wagon bend at turn 2, the run through the chute to turn 5, and then that long drag of the carousel to the S's to Paddock Bend. This is a track which prioritizes all the skills needed to be a fast MX5 driver.
Yeah, it certainly does. A very high speed and a high commitment circuit, pretty much the entirety of the 2 miles or 3.1 kilometers here at Summit Point. We have 10 turns here, 10 corners, 3 to the left, 7 to the right, and this is a track founded back in 1969. And out of the exit of Carousel, it is all the way flat down to Paddock Hill Bend. It is an absolute roller coaster of a track, Jake, and I cannot wait.
Well, if it's that long that we're going all the way to Brands Hatch, that's going to be very interesting. But I'm sure that run to turns 1 and 2 is going to still be one of these most enthralling runs that we're going to see over the course of this season. But this is the Club Cup. The top 10 drivers in this championship will book their place to the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in December. And this is how the top 10 line up as things stands. Christian Bissarov currently finds himself on top on 357 points. He's 31 clear of Luis Suarez in the 3-wide racing car in second, with Michael Elliott in third position. Sandavara finds himself in fourth, but depending on where he finishes in the MX5 World Sim Series Championship, he might cede his position to the driver in 11th, with René Zegelar 5th and Pedro Marimon in 6th position. Tom Weston finds himself tied on points with Pedro in 7th, with Thomas Martinez in 8th place. Carlos Horn finds himself 9th, with Kari Rantanen, currently the gatekeeper to the championship, in 10th place. It's just a 2-point gap in terms of the championship. Mike, the nation's championship here looks pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, it certainly does. And at the top right now, it's been a pretty much Bulgarian story the entirety of the past few rounds. The Netherlands trailing by about 35 points, and Brazil and Portugal still locked arms for third and fourth position. The final seat down there in third place for the podium. Spain are about 86 points off the mark, down in fifth. UK in sixth right now, with South Africa behind them in seventh, about 174 points off the mark. And the rest of the gaps are a little bit more than that. Finland in eighth, Ireland in ninth, and Mexico down in 10th.
A little bit of work to do for those countries as they look to try and jump on forward. So that's going to be worth keeping in mind. The teams currently is dominated by the negative delta by Bueller's outfit, with SDC Spirit 14 finding themselves rather close, just 60 points adrift. 3-wide Racing find themselves in third, with Positive Delta Motorsport fourth, and a bit of a gap to the Turismo Racing team in fifth. They've made some good progress, though, after their late start to the season. Sweat Sim Racing are in sixth, ahead of 1P Motorsports in seventh, and then it's a two-way tie in 8th and 9th, with Rosso Esports and GTD Racing. SRL find themselves in 10th position, just 10 points adrift of that. But for those who are brand new here to the Simify MX5 World Sim Series, this is going to be a race all about detail. And speaking of detail, Mike, this is going to be a very important run for these drivers tonight.
Yeah, it certainly is. We're getting down to the wire, round 7 out of 10 of the championship, and as you had mentioned at the top, the eliminations are going to be close here, and it is going to be a 25-minute race here tonight for all of the 3 races. We have, starting us off, the club race, following us up with Division 2, and then last but not least for the top flight in Division 1. It's going to be fixed setups here tonight, and there are infinite spare cars available for any bumping and banging that we might see on any of these circuits.
Well, it's worth noting as well that these drivers are running the iRacing baseline setup here in the club series. They move to the advanced setup when we move over to Knockhill. But here, right now, we've just got 2 minutes left in qualifying. It is one-shot qualifying across this series, brand new for this season, and as such, drivers are staggering those qualifying times, looking to try and get themselves focused on what they need. Michael Elliott, we currently see on screen right now, the number 3 driver in the championship. As things stand, it's Lorenz Den Ouden, the driver on the outside looking in at the moment in the championship, 2 points adrift of Kari Rantanen, who's there. But Michael Elliott making his way to the wagon turn here at turn number 2, and he is looking to hitch up a run right now as he heads towards the middle sector.
Yeah, it's a one-shot qualifying here for these MX5s out on track, so they need to make their one lap good. We can pop on board here as we go through the twisty, windy bits into Sector 3. Looking very nice. Run wide here onto the exit, but you got to be very careful, or excuse me, you got to tighten up. I'm on the wrong part of the track in my mind here, forgive me. Here, though, use all of the track to the outside, keep it nice and tight on entry. And this, again, kind of the piff path, might you say, Jake, for this circuit.
Very much, this S's section is very much about trying to carry as much speed as you can. You're always fighting the car's rear for grip, but then you've got that final turn, the paddock turn. Very easy to lose the rear as you go in through, attacking the curb on the inside. And how good is Positive Delta? 120.8, the time to beat. Michael Elliott making the long run to the line. 128.48, he's short by 100th out there in qualifying. Lorenz Den Ouden, I think, is just about safe. That will be everybody over the line, which gives us a chance then to talk for the first time tonight about your Simify starting grid. Simify, your one-stop shop for all your sim racing gear. Choose from iconic brands and mix and match for the best way to get your leg up on the competition. Simify ships worldwide, and they also have 2 sim racing centers. One's in Madrid, the other in Barcelona, and they are dedicated to improving your sim racing skills. Head over to www.simify.com/MX5WSS to have your discount applied when you make a sim racing purchase today. Follow the link in the description. It's Lorenz Den Ouden then on pole position, 120.837. Michael Elliott's alongside for company, with the championship leader Christian Bisserov starting third alongside Carlos Horn. Eric Kieroth goes from 5th, with Bruno Lisboa in 6th, leading Luis Suarez and Pedro Marimon. Marcus Suarez will start 9th, different country, different Suarez, and Anton Simeonov rounds out the top 10.
Moving on to row 6 here, starting us off at the P11, it is going to be Mackenzie Mann with the likes of Victor Olivaria in 12th. 13th position belonging to Sandovar with Thomas Martinez in P14. Tom Weston coming home in 15th on row 8 with David Geddes in P16, alongside Bruno Albino in P17. 18th here belonging to Kalle Ratanen with Sir Alan Toon in 19th, and rounding out your top 20 is going to be Artu Devala.
Yeah, we've got 26 drivers here as the green flag will drop, and they are underway. They were very quick to grid here today at Summit Point, so they wanted to get racing and get going. The final 6 drivers, René Zegler, Armin Schlomo, Zhao Schubert, Armin Ulabakos, David Mitchell, and David Balazs, who's not going to take the start here. Already, Michael Elliott looking to the outside, late on the brakes in through the opening corner, and there's the contact immediately. Carlos Horn gets dumped through the middle. Everyone's going to scatter to try and go through. I think Sandovar was one of them, had to get right on the brakes to avoid contact. In fact, it was Pedro Marimon who found himself back there. Anton Simeonov also getting caught in troubles already in the early stages.
Yeah, lots of trouble here early on, but it seems that everybody else nip and tuck as they run down the front stretch here, all the way down towards the chute and into the middle sector, the carousel, where everything is going to start to get a little bit dicey late onto the brakes there, as we see Christian Bisserov fending off the position for the time being, but also needs to be on the look ahead, trying to gain onto the podium.
Yep, so there's Zhao Schubert in a bit of trouble in a Turismo car. Looks like he was caught up in the early lap instance and is off the road with damage, so he's going to be in a little bit of trouble. But at the front right now, you talk about drivers who have made good progress. Luis Suarez from 7th on the grid has leapfrogged up into 3rd position. Bisserov there, his main rival in this Club Series Championship, right behind him's dropped one back down to 4th place. And watch out as they serpentine on this straight. There is Christian Bisserov looking to the outside now to try and make this move as they go on to their 2nd lap of this race. Bisserov needs to be brave on the brakes to make this one happen. On the brakes they go, and tiptoeing through top 2 in the championship, Christian Bisserov, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, very nicely done there. Luis Suarez is going to be, oh my goodness, is that Sandovar having a little bit of a mid-air snack there. That was enough to rack up some frequent flyer miles. Sandovar rejoins safely. Everybody else around there, a bit of diciness, side-by-side action pretty much all the way through the pack at this stage. You can see immediately Victor Olivaria trying to capitalize right now as he battles ahead with Suarez. It's a bit of a Brazilian fight here for 7th, and behind that, Tom Weston joined the party side-by-side, and there is contact.
Oh, there's more than that.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and there's an instant behind that as well. Pedro Marimon is there, and also Bruno Lisboa miles off the circuit there in the Rosso car. So that's about 4 or 5 different drivers getting caught up. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There was 7 different drivers at that corner at that time getting caught up in that instant, which is the biggest choke point. Well, look at Sandovar's issue first. He just loses it on his own, and look at the air. He goes up over the berm, and that is enough to damage suspension and underfloor if you're not careful. Very lucky that he's found the firmest panel fencing in the whole of West Virginia.
Yes, certainly is, but everybody else behind not so lucky as they found the clattering of the, well, I guess aluminum bodies on these MX5s. You can see their nice move there as Dowden gets by, or no, this is a battle for P1, excuse me, this is Bisserov. Lost the position there, I think, and now Dowden leads the race.
Michael Elliott here trying to follow the slipstream on the inside. Look at these four go into the wagon turn. No room at the end for the championship leader, no respect, and now it's 5 at the front because Eric Kiero has joined it. Mackenzie Mann's had a great start. He's looking at this with eyes bigger than the belly, but down on the brakes into turn 5, which is the choke point of the lap. And again, Suarez in the 3-wide racing car can't quite get the angle that he wants, but he's all about setup here through the carousel, lining up the S's, and for that paddock turn, which ends the lap outright. Lorenz Den Ouden leads this race, but he's got a lot of work to do after taking the lead back off of Michael Elliott, and now look how defensive he lines up heading to the final corner.
Yeah, heavily covering the inside there, but I don't think that's going to matter. Elliott's going to try to challenge the out. No, he backs out this time, trying for the switchback, in fact, but immediately locks bumpers there like a license plate up ahead. Still side by side. That's going to be a back marker, potentially becoming a bit of an infringement here, but we go down to the first corner right now. Who is going to take it? It's De Ouden onto the outside right now, and on the inside is going to be Elliott. I think a little bit of clattering of the side panels, and a hip check is going to send De Ouden down the field into third position, and now we're leading the race, Michael Elliott.
Well, it's 4th, and it might just well be 5th because Eric Kieroff is there on the outside here in a Turismo car. The Pig's going to try and help, and we hope that Pigs don't fly today around the outside. And a beautiful move by Eric Kieroff, and that just goes to show you how quick you can lose places at Summit Point. 1st to 5th in 2 corners. Elliott now your new leader, Bisserov in 2nd, Suarez in 3rd, and right now we're sitting on 7 nationalities there in the top 7, and Lisboa with contact there, a lap traffic with Lorenz Den Ouden. I don't think management's going to feel too happy about lap traffic inserting itself in that direction, as now here goes Albino for the last spot in the top 10.
Yeah, thinking about it every which way, you could see him trying to fix for the inside and fix for the out, but he isn't sure which one he wants to commit to. These cars are all about momentum and commitment. You need a good exit for a certain point, and able to run down to the outside now, not quite, as they are going to go nip and tuck all the way through here. One of the things that I really like about this track, Jake, is on the exit there of the carousel, it is flat out all the way through the S's in these machines. There, though, the look now to the outside from, I think that's going to be Quieros onto Suarez.
No, Suarez and Bisserov, top 2 in the championship, come together, and they're both going to spin out, and they will see this as a drop round, and you just knew with how successful Bisserov has been this season that Suarez is going to have to push, and the contact there, they'll still be together on track.
Yes, and that is absolutely gutting. You mentioned the championship. That is going to be massive, and that might be, as you said, the drop round for them this time. There's still a recovery, though, potentially points still on the line, but that damage is going to be affecting the rest of their race, certainly. As we jump on board here with Victor Olivaria, battling down here for P8.
Yeah, trying to move forward on now on Luis Suarez. 4th position. Marcus Suarez a little bit further down the field now in P6, but Oliveira hoping that he can find a way through, and this will have some teams championship implications here because we know as well, Mike, how close Positive Delta and 3-wide racing are.
Yeah, we certainly do, and right now you can see he's just trying to find any weaknesses on the car in front. I'm not sure it's going to be too much of a hurry up. There's still 18 minutes and 10 seconds left. You don't need to be making your way through the field as quickly as some of these drivers would like to. However, you want to be moving forward at all times. Moving backwards is obviously less than ideal, and currently Olivaria 30th in the championship, battling with 2nd in the championship.
Well, this is a case where these drivers are looking around and it's damage limitation, but what drives we're seeing? Tom Weston up 10 spaces right now is one of the biggest chargers in this field. There are bonus points available for the hardest charger right now. That's in the pocket of David Mitchell, who's up 11 spaces in this race from 25th up to 14th. But Lorenz Den Ouden trying to recover back through. Mackenzie Mann first, who has been such a consistent driver in this series. Eric Kieroff, and then Michael Elliott. We got 2 drivers here outside the top 20, inside the top 3 today.
Yeah, this is going to be very, very welcoming for Mann here as well as Den Ouden. They have shown their merit for the most part here in terms of their pace, and now following 2nd position. A podium for either one of these drivers is a welcome sight as we look down for P11 here. Rene Ziegler battling with Martinez. to the outside, and it looks like it's going to be Martinez getting by, or was it a front marker?
Oh, no, that was Vara. So that was for 10. So Sandavara through. Now his teammate behind's going to go through. There's some smoke down there on the inside, so someone's had a massive off. They're just after the S is trying to work out who that was going forward, who's had it. I think it might have been Bruno as well. No, it wasn't. That was Victor Oliveira, who's gone into the trees. And because he's gone into the trees, Carl, miles off his Sandavara, because he's gone into the trees, and this is an old school iRacing circuit, he's fallen through the wilderness and been immediately reset to pits.
Yeah, and that is going to be gutting. This battle, though, continues on as Ziegler looks to the inside, doesn't find the light of day, though, and now has to continue battling as there's a stranded Simify car in the grass. They're having a nice picnic here in West Virginia. However, I don't think that country road's going to take him home.
No, that's Arturo Davila, who was there in the gravel trap and had a lot of work to do. Sandavara now looking at 8th place here. And Luis Suarez, the driver, 2nd overall in the championship. Sandavara 4th. Diving through here at the chute. Big lunge to the inside. Has he overcooked it? He has. And the chop of the nose there. Suarez couldn't leave himself enough room. Now the door's still open for the next section of the road. Has to take the wide line. And look at the pinch from Sander against Luis Suarez. Suarez has to yield. A good move by Sandavara, using all of his arm work to get himself through. But keep an eye near the front, because it's 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and Eric Kieroth and Michael Elliott are both looking at each other here thinking this could be a very important win this season, with Mann and Den Ouden starts to look, and there is Lawrence Den Ouden, big lunge down to the inside, trying to get the move sorted, and Mackenzie Mann has to let him have it.
Lick the stamp and send it. That was an absolute charge there from downtown, and immediately you're going to see Mackenzie Mann try to fight this back Den Ouden, kind of pulling a little bit of wool over the eyes there of Mann. Caught him sleeping in the braking zone, and immediately that anger is going to come right back as the American driver tries to battle with the Dutchman.
Yep, so Mackenzie Mann needs a bit of help here to try and charge back forward, gain that place. Ultimately, it's going to be consistency that pays off. It is a small circuit here by comparison, just a shade under 2 miles long, so you get a sense that around here there really is a look at traffic. It's a big factor of what goes on, and Eric Kieroth here at about half a second to 6/10, just playing patience here with Michael Elliott. We are heading towards the halfway stage of this race, and Kieroth knows all he's got to do is buy his ticket to the end of this race. He knows that all he's got to do is get to 25 minutes, and then he can go all out to try and pass Michael Elliott, who is trying to shake him off here, going all the way to the inside.
Yeah, covering him off very hard right now, but isn't going to be making a move right now, as you said. The whole goal is just to walk away from Den Ouden and the rest of the pack and then deal with each other later. You still have 13 minutes and 45 seconds. You can continue scrapping all you want, but is it going to be worth it? That's the question that both of these drivers have to be asking themselves. And right now, it seems that Eric Kieroth has deemed it potentially worth it. You can see him fixing for some overtakes, or at least trying to keep Elliott honest in his rearview mirror.
Well, something to note here is the fact that Mann has got back through on Lorenz Den Ouden. We saw that in the background through turn 1. Close to your light, 0.3 of a second not there. Den Ouden trying to hook up a storm here and find an overtake, taking a wider line in through at turn 5, trying to open up the run through the carousel. And this section of track really does prioritise, when you're trying to make a move, the over-under effect. You're effectively trying to knit an overtake by going outside to in, outside to in. You're always weaving, ducking and dodging right now like you're an Olympic boxer, trying to make sure that you can land the next hit.
Yeah, well, hopefully we don't land a next hit into the braking zone, as Den Ouden is going to be feeling it here, but no, is not going to go for it. Has to return back. But one of the reasons that these cars are so prominent on that switchback move is just to the fact that these are such momentum-based cars. Here we go, though, down to the inside. Ouden is going to be fixed for the overtake. Is Mann going to be able to cover it, or is he just going to let this one go? He is going to just get onto the brakes early. And you can see this is a bit of working together right now unofficially, and I think that's what Suarez as well as Weston are doing, as you can see, just sort of switching back and forth. But I say that, and on exit, Mann and Den Ouden are side by side.
I tell you what, these two are costing each other time here. Mann looking at the outside of the wagon turn and not really able to find that one happening. Tom Weston and Marcus Suarez last time out closed in roughly about half a second between them. So they're there at 2 seconds here and about 4 laps. If it continues like this, it will stay like this. These two drivers are going to be against each other, looking at one spot on the podium. Speaking of which, though, Tom Weston, watch out. Marcus Suarez to the outside, and here is the championship leader, Christian Bitterov. It's a 3-car train here for the top 5.
Yeah, Bisserov needs to make up the points in the champion, or rather, he needs to continue the points that he's holding while he has drivers in front that need to make up positions. Man doesn't want to lose any at this point. He wants to hold on for as long as he possibly can, as well as up at the front. Chiaro, I just wanted to mention that. He's 21st in the championship. I would like to see him be a bit more passive just to try to keep these points on the line. However, trying to tell a racing driver to be passive sometimes can be quite the futile effort, Jake.
Well, the thing for Eric Kierhoff is he missed the opening 2 rounds of the championship. That's why he finds himself down the order. It's a hot ticket for the top 10, as there is Christian Bisserov looking for a way through on the Turismo car of Marcus Suarez and not quite finding it. Open up the race lead for the first time. Eric Kierhoff to the inside of the wagon turn. You can fight too wide through here. And now Michael Elliott here, the South African, with it all to do on that inside, covers off the line through the chute. Now you've got to go over to the left-hand side, cover the line on the brakes, and they're allowing the traffic back in, which just so happens to be his teammate, Michael Elliott's teammate, of course, Victor Oliveira.
Yeah, that could potentially be a helping hand, but you can see Eric Chiaro wanting to get the hurry up on here. He thinks about that inside line. One of the beauties of these MX5 cars are front-wheel drive, so as soon as you get the car facing in just relatively the correct direction, you step on the throttle and punch it, try to get the best exit you can. These cars are all about momentum, and Eric Chiaro has that momentum. Can he use it, though, to his advantage? He almost becomes a new license plate there for Michael Elliott.
But Christian Bitterov has had 5 wins this season. Luis Suarez won. These two drivers racing for their first win here in the Club Cup. Here is Kierhoff moving over to the left-hand side of the circuit, hoping he's got that wing mirror to wing mirror as the pig looks to move to the race lead. There's a bit of door-to-door through the opening corner. Now out of 2. Who's got the drive? It goes on forever and an eternity trying to get that launch. Inside line is still there for Eric Kierhoff with 9.5 on the clock. He goes to the inside of the wagon bed, and Brazil has its race lead.
Yes, it does. Chiaro takes the lead over Elliott, and that is going to be the backmarker teammate behind, not wanting to scrap whatsoever and impede Elliott at all. We look a little bit further back down as Tom Weston here. He is looking to gain a position potentially for 5th. Onto the back bumper of Suarez there, but that's going to be Bisserov trying to make an opportunistic move down to the inside, and he takes it with both hands, or does he? Immediately going to turn to the out, full commitment, and it looks like this battle is going to continue to rage on all the way through. The long sweeping right-hander, still side by side. Tom Weston not giving it up.
Oh, he's got a pinch here because Bitterov's just going to get the launch on the outside. Gives him a hip check. Weston goes to the grass and saves it. Tom Weston saves it, but Bitterov showing that champion's resoluteness that he's got there. But Tom is going to realise he's going to get a run out to the paddock turn. And how crucial is the draft going to be right now? Desperate to give a little bit of slipstream is Marcus Suarez in front, because he knows the longer that these drivers stay side by side, it's going to be crucial. Side drafting off each other. Weston to the outside, trying to find the angle. Bisserov throws it down the inside and absolutely owns the opening corner.
That is a championship leader move if I've ever seen one. Full commitment at all times, and he's going to be fixing for another one. There's going to be another hip check, and there's contact, and Suarez is round. That's going to be Bisserov off into the gravel, rejoins the circuit, but that is certainly going to need a look at by the stewards.
Well, if I had a penny every single time that Christian Bitterov has been in an instant here today with a driver with the surname of Suarez, I would have 2 pennies, which is maybe not very much, but a coincidence nevertheless. Lorenz Den Ouden there. We'll take a look at the replay, and Marcus Suarez here. This is hard racing between these 2 drivers. Bitterov, you can see it here, moves to the centre line of the circuit, and you've got to make turning, and he's pinching. All the while he's pinching. Tom Weston gives a tap, which helps the spin around.
Yeah, Tom Weston, honestly, I mean, he did what he could in that one, but is going to be smiling on the results there and gaining 2 free positions, basically, and alleviating his problems. Up at the front, though, that can't be said, as Kieros is going to be battling still for the race lead. Michael Ellett, he wants his first win, but so does Kieros, as you mentioned.
Yeah, Eric Kieros here is just putting the car where he needs to. Michael Ellett is searching, and these 2 drivers have been playing a very coy game out here at the front. They're not battling hard at the moment. They're trying to maintain that 3.5-second gap, which you can see out there at the moment over Mackenzie Mann. And they need to. Mistake, though, by Kieros. He goes too deep through the corner. Michael Ellett now on the wrong side of the carousel, trying to pinch as much as possible. A gift. He can't look in the mouth. But at this moment, Kieros, with the drive through the corner, is trying to get what he can sorted. And he just about holds it on the defensive track.
Incredible recovery there. I didn't think there was a chance that Kieros was going to be able to defend that, and there still might not be, as Michael Ellett is all over him here, looking to the inside now. Finally, hip checking their round, and both drivers are off, and massive damage for Michael Ellett.
That is mega. Michael Ellett there, and Eric Kieros realizing how important this race was, and just like that, those 2 put themselves out of contention for the moment. Still, though, in 4th position is Kieros, as Luis Suarez in trouble as well. So 2nd in championship, Suarez, he's in the pits with damage. Sandavara with damage. Michael Ellett with the black flag as well. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in the championship, all needing repairs. Here's this one now for the race lead. Mackenzie Mann from 11th on the grid now has to hold off the pole sitter.
Mackenzie Mann's best result in terms of a points finish is going to be on 44 points. This is quite the difference if he can manage this result. Sitting at 29th in the championship, I don't think he expected to find himself in this situation, but right now he is going to be sweating like a cow in a burger joint with Den Ouden all over the back of him.
He absolutely is. I just want to note, it's Sandavara and Luis Suarez came together on circuit. We'll have to get a look at that at some point. In fact, we're going to get it right now. This is coming through the S's. VAR on the back, just tags his rear, gets him loose. Oh, and there's no way that Luis Suarez can save that. That's not retaliation. That is simply put, not being able to hold the car because he's been unsettled that way. And that's Tom Weston out.
This is such a quickly developing race. Tom Weston will have to catch a replay on what happened there. Massive damage, though, and immediately returns back to the pits. And there is a car going slowly. Is that a lap traffic, or is that going to be a damaged car?
No, he caught lap traffic, so he had contact with Oliveira as he went through, and that was what did the damage. We'll take a look here. Weston going through the corner, and that is just trying to get out of the way, completely misjudging the line there from Victor Oliveira. It's nothing personal on Tom Weston. He's just completely misjudged it.
Yeah, certainly was, and that is going to be just devastating as a result there. The British driver going to be plummeted down the field as a result. We rejoin, though, with Thomas Martinez in 7th position right now, as he has the Simify car ahead, excuse me, he is the number 5 ahead of Rene Ziegler right now, battling for 6th position. So far, fairly nip and tuck.
Well, Rene Ziegler has gained 15 places. David Mitchell up 16 places in this race and scoring well at this point. Kalle Rantanen, who's been nowhere in this race, is P8 and is still going to take some very impressive points today, with many drivers around struggling around this circuit. Now, this is what happened with Victor Oliveira, and I think this is just going to be him ending the race. He has a moment, and he goes back across the circuit here and gets himself over the line here, and that, I think, for Victor Oliveira is just a testament to how tough of a day he has had, just scampering way over the circuit, and he's retired the car. Den Ouden, 2 minutes 48, trying to unlock an overtake. They've been battling for about the last 20 minutes. Mackenzie Mann, 29th in the championship now, 6 seconds, 5.5 now to play with, knows it's a free-for-all between him and Lorenz Den Ouden, and Den Ouden wants into that top 10, and he's got to think here, does Lorenz right now, Mike, about the championship. He doesn't have to win this race.
You say that, but you can see, look at the position. He's posturing for an overtake in every single corner, trying the alternate lines, trying to find any difference that he can here to try to beat Mackenzie Mann in a drag race. That isn't going to do it for him, though. Maybe get a better exit now as it's flat out all the way through the S's, and we know that there is a potential overtake opportunity into Paddock Bend, not Paddock Hill Bend.
Yeah, and that Paddock Bend, the final corner, I think is going to be really important because you can get a slingshot for a drag race over the line, and it's a surprisingly long line here at Summit Point. It comes after the pits in its entirety. They can see the scorer's hut on the left-hand side. That's where Barney sits right now, and they will have 2 laps to go. They cross with 20 seconds on the clock, and Lorenz Den Ouden will put 4 miles of torture more into Mackenzie Mann, and he is all over the place looking for a line to the inside. Now look at what he tries to do. He tries to cut for a line, and look at the drive. Mann can't cover the outside quick enough, and suddenly that will turn to the inside, and Mackenzie Mann, who has left the door open, has he let a thief through? He has, but he got on the brakes early to try and get drive off the exit.
All of this squabbling has cost them massively. These are back markers that they are getting backed up into. They've become the slower cars on track just strictly due to the battling alone. And Mackenzie Mann, he can see he is not done yet. Lawrence Den Ouden a little bit deep. Using a little bit wider lines pretty much in every single corner has opened up some opportunities for him. However, it's opened up the door there just briefly for for Mann, but he slams it shut.
Yeah, Mackenzie Mann just put the brakes on, realising he was very close to making contact. He would have got the call from his spotter saying car right, and no slipstream by Mackenzie Mann. He's not going to play that game here at Summit Point. In through the final corner of the Paddock Bend, and 1 more lap, and he'll need a push here from Tom Weston, and he's not going to get it. Now, this is very naughty here from Tom Weston. He's got every right to unlap himself in this field, which he's going to do because there's Michael Elliott behind him for position, and Lorenz Den Ouden, I think, is going to have to open up his steering into the opening corner because Weston's going to go flying through and straight on and implicit himself in this battle. But look at what it means. It puts Mackenzie Mann back on attack here, heading to the wagon bend, and if he can hitch this move up, he'll surge back to the inside, hoping there's an angle, but he's not close enough, and he compromises the line as well, and the gap suddenly opens up to half a second. It's all about Den Ouden now being pixel perfect for the final half of this race, and my word, has he had a tough one here. Yes, he had contact earlier on in this one that dropped him back outside the top 5, and the issues that he's had to deal with to try and scamper back into place. This does not tell the story. Started in first, finishing in first, but as he pulls that gap open to 0.7 of a second, he started today 2 points on the wrong side of the cut line, and as he heads his way towards the Paddock Bend for the final time in the club series, he now knows that here at round 7, he will enter the drop rounds with himself firmly in the top 10. Lorenz Den Ouden wins here at Summit Point.
Behind him, Mackenzie Mann, close second in a hard-fought one. Certainly nothing to shake a stick at and to be disappointed about. He will be happy with that result from 29th in the championship. Quiros as well, 21st, takes home a 3rd position. Battling continues now all the way back here for 6th position, but it seems that Martinez, I think, is going to have to settle right now in 7th. Ziegler takes home P6. 5th position there belonging to Suarez, and 4th for our championship leader at the moment, Christian Bisserov.
Bisserov there will take 4th position, knowing that his 3 nearest challengers are all in trouble. Sandoval, the closest of those, in 12th place. I would say job well done. It's not a win, but it's damage limitation by Christian Bisserov. Vara will feel like he got involved with quite a bit here today, and he's got a lot to deal with out there, and he'll take the jump. As you can see here at Summit Point, everyone loves the jump as they go through. Confirmation of result then is going to be on your screen. Lorenz Den Ouden having an up and down and all around display today. 26 minutes 5 seconds. He wins by half a second over Mackenzie Mann, with Eric Kierhoff rounding out the final spot on the podium after being turned from the race lead. Speaking of which, Christian Bisserov finding himself in 2 bits of contact with Suarez. There's one Marcus, who is in 5th position behind him by 10 seconds. The other one, a little bit further down the order, Luis Suarez, but he finds himself 4th. Marcus Suarez 5th. Rene Zegelar up 15 into 6th position overall, will actually share the Hard Charger award out there and the points that come along with it. Thomas Martinez is 7th, and the ever-consistent Kalle Rantanen takes an 8th place from today, with Carlos Horn in 9th, and David Mitchell, the driver, sharing that Hard Charger award up 15 to 10th.
Yeah, and starting off here in 11th, Sandovar in 4th position in the standings coming into this race, finishes 11th. Not a terrible result. Behind him is going to be Sir Alan Toon in 12th. We have Malin Bacchus in P13 with Bruno Albino in P14. Tom Weston coming home in 15th after the devastating incident with Michael Ellett in 16th alongside of him, and David Geddes in 17th. Bruno's Lisboa, 18th quickest here with Anton Simonov in 19th, and rounding out our top 10 is going to be Arturo Dalva.
Yeah, and here the drivers are lap down or retirees. You can see Zhao Schubert here, Luis Suarez, Armin Schlermer couldn't really make way through. We saw what happened with Victor Oliveira. He got involved from pillar to post with Pedro Marimon, and an on-start for David Balaj in 24th in the championship. He will not get his points here today at the Club Series, but it's a chartered flight for us here as we now take our move. Stay with us here on the Global SimRacing Channel. The Simify MX5 World Sim Series will jump over in just a couple moments to Knockhill and for Division 2 action that comes along next. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Simify MX5 World Sim Series. We've taken our jump to about 10 kilometers off of the River Forth and the famous Forth bridges that are there. The three bridges that, so to speak, could not be painted in time. It would always need a new coat of paint by the time the works are completed for any painting that was done back in the day. This is Knockhill. This is Scotland's pride and joy, and a circuit which is unlike any other that you will find and is quintessential in terms of some Scottish heritage. This is Division 2 action, and we are just about set and getting ourselves through qualifying as things stands. But with Jake Sperry and Mike Nouse here bringing you all the action, Knockhill is a circuit that when you sit down on it, Daniel Costello, your director, Dougie Beard on the cameras, you got to look at this Knockhill circuit and say, why is this such a cult classic and a staple of the touring car scene and the UK scene as well? The only way you can find out is by watching this, our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Knockhill Racing Circuit. Opened in 1974, this place has become perhaps the most famous of Scottish racetracks. It sits a little less than an hour north of Edinburgh, and while the stats may make it seem extremely short, it packs a lot of punch within a lap. The four main layouts have a mere 2 kilometers, or just over 1 mile in length, and a measly 9 to 10 corners. But no two of those turns are alike, and there's an impressive 120 feet of elevation change. Also, a majority of the apexes are taken at medium to high speeds. That makes passing rather tough, but the hairpin at Taylor's is the most likely spot to outbrake someone. Otherwise, you'll just have to wait for a mistake from your rival. Perhaps the aspect that is most unique here is that the circuit can be run clockwise or counterclockwise. Naturally, this changes the nature of some of the corners, but a few things are the same no matter which way you run it. Duffus Dip is a sketchy one in which it can be hard to judge how fast you can take it. And the chicane, which has become notorious for the way touring cars blast over its curbs, requires incredible commitment from the driver and stability in your setup. Speaking of which, expect to set up your car to have to handle the aggressive curves that guard the insides of pretty much every turn. Knockhill has been long requested by the plentiful Scottish racing fans, and with its arrival in the sim, it's sure to garner even more fans around the world now.
Knockhill is one of the few circuits in the world that does absolutely everything out there. It's a track that can do racing both clockwise and anti-clockwise in many different layouts. It can even do a rallycross layout out there. This is the international layout here in Dunfermline, and this is a track which has simply put a whole lot of jump about it. These drivers are going to be gripping onto the steering wheel through Duffers Dip and through the chicane here, Mike, with their life.
Yeah, they certainly are, and this track, famous as ever in races pretty much every form of motorsport, from motorcycle racing to go-karts to caravan racing. And what you're going to be seeing here tonight, the MX5s, we have 9 corners ahead of us, 3 to the left and 6 to the right. And that may sound simple on paper, but I assure you, Jake, we don't drive on paper, we drive on the tarmac here at Knockhill.
We absolutely do, and keep an eye out on drivers getting the move done at McIntyre's turn 3, out on the lap into Clark's turn 7, and along through his lops, which is the railway straight, and towards Taylor's hairpin, the final corner on the lap. You can see it here right now. That is going to be a key place for momentum to get it sorted up the hill run through a hairpin. There is not quite a corner like it in the world of motorsport. But one thing we can say here with Division 1 is just how important the championship has been. It's Jaume Dalmases at the top, and he's a clear by 30 over Adnan Grozdanic, with Jason Cooper finding himself in third. These drivers are fighting for the front rows of the grid here when it comes to Laguna Seca in December, with Alberto Blanco in fourth, Jack Veazey fifth, and then the duo tied on points, Ade Koba and Nicholas Goebel, 6th and 7th, their rivalry continuing here. Nuno Ferreira is 8th, with Dylan da Costa in 9th with his consistency, and Per Sandberg rounding out the top 10 overall in the championship as things stand. And as we look over to our next slide of championship standings, the Nations Cup looks a little bit cut and dry.
Yeah, it definitely does. Spain is topping the charts right now by over about 116 points and 198 to United Kingdom. It is quite the margin there. UK, though, in third, very close behind, is going to be the United States, with the Netherlands a good margin as well. Sixth position belonging to France, Brazil in seventh, Belgium eighth, Portugal in ninth, and Bulgaria rounding out your top 10.
Over, of course, then to the teams and how they stack up right now in the championship. 5-Star Motorsport on top by just the 52 over Zenith Esport, with the MX5 Deep Dive team in third. So you've still got a lot more out there at the moment, with SimRace Sweden Esports in fourth, BB1 Sim Racing in fifth, and SDC Spirit 14 in sixth position. It's close between Sweat Sim Racing and the organisation. They're seventh and 8th, 9th belonging to SimTech Racing, and 3G Racing rounding out the top 10 overall in terms of their lap times, or in terms of their championship standing, as they go. And just like before, it is going to be a case of everybody trying to put their best foot forward. What I can tell you is that we've got nobody out there on track at the moment, so what we can do is head straight over to the Simify starting grid for procedural action here today. Simify, of course, is your one-stop shop for all of your sim racing gear. You can choose from iconic brands and mix and match for the best way to get your leg up on the competition. Simify is a company that ships worldwide, and they have 2 sim racing centers, one of course in Madrid, one in Barcelona, and they are dedicated to improving your sim racing skills. If you head over there during your times of racing, you can of course use the code in the description, which is simify.com/MX5WSS. You'll get an exclusive discount when you reach checkout for your purchases on sim racing equipment that is there. But as we take a look from the Gary Stagg commentary tower at a field of 18, looking to put their points on the board here at Knockhill and put themselves inside the top 40 overall, it's Laurent Sebastian who's got the pole position on a 56.181. The laps will go thick and fast here today. Pedro Marimon will be alongside him on the front row, with Tony Wallace and Miles Owens third and fourth. Alexandre Longo and Pieter Hossens are fifth and sixth, with Patrick Alders seventh and Matt Tempest in eighth position. Sandavara starts ninth as Michael Tanagretta rounds out the top 10.
Yeah, moving on to row 6. Starting us off there is going to be Tucker Saylor in P11 with Stefan Dumas in P12. Behind them is going to be Willem van Rassel in 13th position, with Charles Kellyman in 14th. Row 8 belonging to Rene Ziegler as well as Tom Weston. And row 9 belonging to Mackenzie Mann. And last but not least is going to be Mick Robinson.
Mick Robinson, number 31, out there in the championship, sat with a lot of defending here to do to keep that top 40 place. Every position matters in terms of that final running at Laguna Seca for the championship outright. But we're getting all of ourselves ready. We've just got one driver to wait for, and that's your pole sitter out there. Track temperature out there, 27 degrees. This is basically what we expect to see out here from the Simify MX5 World Sim Series. It's very static conditions, and it doesn't use a dynamic weather condition that many other leagues go out there and do. It's kind of an old school throwback here in terms of how sessions used to be set up in iRacing back in previous days. There is Laurent Sebastian on the grid. There is 25 minutes on the clock. Division 2 will look to get itself going. It's an uphill start over the top of the hill on the plateau, and there's the green, and we are underway and racing. And Sebastian with a good start then off of the front. Immediately Alexandre Longo from about 5th position. It's going to look like he wants to challenge here on this run down to Duffer's Dip. For the first time, everybody tiptoeing, hoping to find single file. There's drama in the background. One car's gone around already, and it's Rene Zegelar who finds himself in the gravel.
Yeah, they go continue down the hill here, up through Butchers and into the chicane, and that's going to be where you can see a little bit of air being caught. The lovely camera angle here, seeing all of the drivers go nip and tuck, barring a couple. You see some movement and shakers throughout the pack here as we jump down with Sandovar after that mistake, has rejoined in P10.
Yep, so he'll be looking to try and jump up through the order here and gain a little bit more. He's past Tanagretta, and just in front of him, everybody is looking for angles out there at this moment. A bit of side-by-side as there's almost contact behind Sandavara there with the likes of Stefan Dumas going at it there with Michael Tanagretta. He almost catches, they go through. One lap score complete. Watch out for the race lead now, because Pedro Marimon thinking about a way to jump through into position number one. Doesn't get close enough through Duffer's Dip to make the lunge, but look out behind the third position. Over the curb goes Miles Owens, and he has to push Pieter Hossens off the road. Alexandre Longo's GTD car jumps through.
Yeah, Wallace there in third position right now with Owens behind. This is going to be a crucial finish for Wallace. He needs to keep it clean right now and prioritize results over the positions gained. He's still, though, going for it. Again, we go back to telling a driver to hold back can be quite a futile effort at times. Pedro Marimon, he is going to be feeling the pressure right now and allowing the likes of Sebastian to get away a little bit.
And you can't afford that around here, because it is very easy to drop the time, and once you start fighting amongst everybody else, that's it. It could be a race of days done here at Knockhill. Up over the crest once again, Laurent Sebastian with the fastest lap then here around this circuit, and that is beaten by Tucker Sullier in 8th place at the moment, who's done well to jump onto the train. It's a 9-car battle for the race lead. It goes all the way back to Matt Tempest, and speaking of which, brilliant side-by-side now, as that is Tucker Sullier trying to get it done on Patrick Alders. This chicane is so difficult to go too wide through, and they just about hold it. Longo now looking for a little bit of a lunge for 4th place. Miles Owens in the Sweden sim racing car is now going to be looking here, there, and everywhere. And I think Miles Owens is being a little bit too aggressive, and look how it opens him up. Oh, that's Stefan Dumas in the wall.
Yeah, that is a massive bout of damage, and immediately returning to garage. There is a fast repair, though, so he will be able to get back out on track, but there will be a bit of delay as there's a massive bout of contact. 2 cars facing each other, and I'm sure that there was contact to get them there.
It's Pedro Marimon and Alexandre Longo who have come together over in the corner. Longo came in from a mile back, planted it on the inside, and effectively Marimon was unsighted to how far back he came in and lunged for that move. So a massive moment for those up there at the top in this field, and getting caught out with a big amount of damage. Those two from the front gone away. It's now Sebastian clear by 2.4 seconds as we focus on Michael Tanagretta of the organisation. They're trying to jump forward on Sandavara, but that is a big lead now that has been given to Laurent Sebastian because of that incident.
That is going to be so helpful in the championship as we ride here with Tanagretta as he tries to find a move potentially onto Sandovar, but we jump up now with Pieter Hossens, who's in 56th in the championship as well. Both of these drivers need a result up at the top, and we see Owens here getting overtaken potentially. This is Pieter Hossens, I think, on the outside as he looks to the first corner here of Knockhill. It's going to have to go nip and tuck fairly quick as we go down the dipper.
Well, Miles Owens down the hill is doing exactly what he needs to do, which is cover off any moves that's there, and he's actually gaining time. That gap, which was 2.9 seconds over the line, there has been a mistake from Sebastian on this lap, pushed a little bit too wide through McIntyre's, and as such the gap now down to just 1.8. Miles Owens, when he's given the ability to go out there and attack off the chains, Laurent Sebastian has to be a little bit worried about how quickly he's being caught. This is a short circuit by comparison. In the background, there's the look by Matt Tempest, looking to try and cook up a storm here in Scotland. Not something that is too uncommon around here. Very fearsome with the wind around this circuit, but he manages to find himself through on a very still Scottish summer day.
Yeah, certainly, and this is, what a day to be driving these cars as well. Again, this is one of the most fun leagues out there, I would say, when it comes to controlling machines. The MX5s are just brilliant cars. Front-wheel drive, lowish horsepower, very low barrier to entry. However, easy to learn, very, very difficult to master. And these drivers, well, this is, of course, the Division 2, and they are the masters out there for, well, not tonight. We also have Division 1 coming up. So it's only going to get better.
It only will. Matt Tempest still trying to find a way at the Jim Clark corner, of course, the two-time Formula One world champion and arguably a legend of Scottish motorsport out there, ever revered by many a driver who goes back through as one of the fastest Formula drivers to maybe have ever existed. Tanner Greta behind this, dealing with Tom Weston for position, and Tom looking for some drive as the organisation's teammates decide they want to battle amongst each other. Owens with another fastest lap, pulls the gap down to 1.2, and there is Tony Wallace in a bit of a scrap right now, 34th in the championship, up right now against Pieter Hussens for third position, and Tucker Sawyer in 45th is looking desperately for a ticket into the top 40. A good result here will certainly help his points haul.
Yeah, this is really allowing some of the drivers that are further down in the championship to gain some positions here. This is massive. Again, 49 battling for P1 right now, as that's going to be Owens taking the lead, or the race lead. Was there a mistake from Sebastian? The gap was over a second, and it has plummeted to over a second. In fact, that's Pieter Hussens getting by as well. Did something happen here? Sebastian, is there damage?
I wonder if there was a slowdown penalty somewhere, or he's just clobbered the curbs a little bit too heavily. So maybe there might be a bit of underfloor, which is certainly hurting in terms of Laurent's run. He might have just been too aggressive. I think that's all it was, that he was too aggressive going in through the opening corner. Hussens flies around the outside of Duffer's Dip to get the move done, and down on the hill at McIntyre's at turn 3. There's nothing really there for Sebastian. Suddenly it's Miles Owens who's been given the gap.
Yeah, you talk about high commitment corners. This is such a high commitment moment from all of these drivers involved right now. They have to keep their head on a swivel and be on their absolute best behavior to avoid ruining not just their race, but each other's race. Patrick Alders down here in 8th. You can see coming down the exit of the chicane. It is a 5-way battle now and a 4-way battle ahead. This is extremely exciting, Jake, side by side on the run down.
That's Sandoval on the inside of Matt Tempest. Patrick Alders looks on from the middle of this group. Hey, but there they go! Vara turned around up the top of Taylor's hairpin. Matt Tempest, the two coming together, and that pretty much out of nowhere drops Sandoval back to 12th, and now we're thinking of 3 wide at Duffer's Dip. Are you mad? And somehow they hold it all together? Oh my word, that could have been disaster in a heartbeat as they were heading towards the opener.
Such incredible control of these cars right now. That was a high intensity situation, and look at that. You can see as they lumber over the curbs, gaining air on 2 tires. It's a little bit of go-karting action for them right now, and you can see high commitment on exit, and this is going to be really good for Pieter Hussens if he can manage right now. But you can see it's falling out of the slipstream ahead now is Wallace. Wallace needs to be gaining on the back bumper, and now immediately trying to go down the inside. The door is open. Pieter Hussens gets by.
Yeah, so Hussens then jumping up onto the last spot of the podium, but can't get the clearance up the hill. The drag certainly helping with the slipstream here for Tony Wallace, who will now use that outside track and hope he's got clearance into Duffer's Dip, but Pieter commands the corner. Tucker Sawyer jumps on the seat, down the hill through the left of Leslie's and in towards McIntyre's bend, and he will look for a run to try and charge on a little bit more. Then they've got, of course, turn 4, which goes through. They're already through the chicane, but turn 4 is a very important corner out there on the circuit. It's Butcher's Corner. It's named after Rory Butcher and the Butcher family, who own this circuit outright, and Rory Butcher, who drives in the British Touring Car Championship, a massive avid sim racer, driven around in the UK sim racing touring car scene here in iRacing.
That's fascinating. Also, we just saw right there Tony Wallace with getting overtaken by Sailor, He sails on by, and not the same story though for Tengretta. To the outside there, Weston is going to be able to hold on for the time being, but is it going to be a matter of when, not if here for that position? Side by side again as Tucker Sailor tries to defend back on the position that he just took. Or no, did Wallace already take it back?
Yeah, that's Wallace back through again. So Tinker Taylor Sawyer looking for a spy coverage to try and find himself a way through, but he's not getting what he wants, and the gaps are opening up. And this is what happens at Knockhill. You try and make a move, you get caught up a little bit in terms of getting stuck trying to find a pass, and all of a sudden, the gaps just skyrocket.
Yeah, and this is with, the slipstream is such an important factor here for these cars. They're so momentum based, and yes, they're not producing much downforce. Yes, they're not producing much of a slipstream, but it's better to have than not to have, and they can bump draft each other, help each other out, which you don't see too much of in this race. They are definitely rearing for the positions and going for the gold. Pretty much everybody in the lobby, it seems.
Everybody wants to say that they can rule the world, but only one driver at the end of the season will. These drivers are just hoping for a ticket, and number 15 out here being down in Division 2, Miles Owens, really needs this result, and the gap that he's built, 2.7 seconds now to the clear out there at this point over Laurent Sebastian. Miles Owens, this is a must get drive for him here today, and he's doing exactly what he needs to, which is limiting the damage to those who are with a better number than him. Laurent Sebastian, number 49, this is still a good day's performance for him in second. Work to do to chase that up, but as you can see, this final corner, there are a million different lines you can take into Taylor's hairpin.
Yeah, it's a very tight right-hander that sort of falls away from you. You have to send the car in, try to get it to rotate, but your car, obviously being the front-wheel drive, it just wants to understeer on exit. You have to do everything that you can to get it facing the right way. However, you want to make sure it doesn't face the wrong way as well. It's very, very a tricky corner at the best of times.
It is an incredibly difficult corner, and this is the sort of circuit that you look at. Of course, no rain in this series, but when you've got iRacing's weather system and this sort of track, this is the sort of track that you judge rain on. You judge where does it puddle on this circuit, because this is the sort of track that you look out here at, Mike, and it's not going to be the sort of circuit that you expect to rain. As here goes Tom Weston now, as he will lose, or he will just about gain the place on Patrick Alders, which will put him up into 6th place. Alders will come back at him. This is the sort of circuit as there's defences. When it rains, it pours, and it doesn't just rain, it creates rivers round here.
Yeah, certainly. It could even rain sheep sometimes, but more on that later. There is Tom Weston getting that position done nice and easy. Not too much of a battle, I think, is going to ensue, but we'll certainly see. The number 23 car is going to be trying to keep him honest right now, and we see the defensive line being taken here from Tom Weston into the first corner, although he checks to the racing line here. Somebody has to give. They're going to go side by side into the entry right now, and he does, in fact, back out. Tom Weston holds on to that.
Oh, and look at what it brings back in. It brings Michael Tanner-Greta into this scrap, and that might be the Tom Weston strategy. Bring Tanner-Greta to the party, and suddenly the organisation can pick up a few points here and there, running through Clark's curve, and then around Hislops and on the railway straight, the old railway line that used to run adjacent to this section of road, and then of course heading to Taylor's hairpin. Where is the look going to come from? Tanner-Greta pointing to the inside, but look how deep he can run it on the brakes. He tags him round.
That is gutting, unfortunately. Patrick Alders rejoining the track pretty quick. Not much damage to be had here. You need to be safe, check your mirrors on entry, and that is nicely done there. Really all that you can do in that situation, and try not to see that red mist afterwards.
Yeah, no one wants to be too angry, and Patrick Alders, who's 23rd in the championship, would not have needed that contact. He's now behind Mackenzie Mann, and the heroics he was trying to do, of course, in the Club Series, who's now in 10th. Your biggest mover, by the way, in this field is Tom Weston, 15th to 6th. He's up 9 spots. Pieter Hossens in 3rd. Look out behind, because that is Tucker Sawyer, who's going to move through. Tony Wallace can't really do anything much about this, heading towards Taylor's. The inside fully covered, and aggressive again on the brakes in towards this section. Still 10 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock, and these three are looking for one podium spot here in Division 2.
Yeah, Wallace and Sailor have not whatsoever been able to decide who is going to be running ahead right now. It's constantly back and forth, and you can see neither driver really fighting too hard at the end of the day. I don't want to say this is wasting time, considering the fact that they're still glued to the back bumper of Peter Hossens. However, I would like to see that effort transitioned forward onto Peter, just mainly due to the fact that you can switch back and forth for P5 and 4 all you want, but then again, you're not making any progress forward.
Tell you what, Tony Wallace looks at this moment in time like he needs to channel his inner William Wallace. out there and find a Scottish battle cry that will push him forward in this race. They may take your positions, Tony. They may even take your points. But at the end of the day, you're racing for a spot at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. So grab your weapon, grab your sword, and make sure that you are finding a place as you try and slice and dice past these two. Sawyer's got you covered at the moment. Pieter Hossens, the Belgian, defensive on the inside, and there's no angles through at Duffer's Dip. As they descend down the hill, you are so reliant on that influx of grip at turn 2, Leslie's, to give you the brakes to go out there and charge for it through McIntyre's, Butcher, and now up over the top of the crest at the chicane.
Yeah, you can really see Tony there posturing for any mistakes, and he catches a glimpse of one right there as Pieter Hossens up ahead is going to be, or excuse me, Sailor up ahead makes a slight little wiggle. You can see though, falling off the back just slightly. Sailor certainly putting himself into a position right now to gain P3. Is he going to do it into the final corner? No, he's just going to try to set it up into the first.
Yeah, Sawyer is doing what he needs to. Little kick of oversteer on the exit as he shows a bit of tail here at what is Knockhill, and up the climb as well under the Beaton's Building Supplies bridge, and looking for that charge at Duffer's Dip once more, climbing over the top of the crest and descending down the hill. Wallace can only watch as Sawyer and Hossens continue on in this battle, and do not count Laurent Sebastian out for the race win. With 8 minutes to go, that gap has been hovering around 2 seconds here to Miles Owens, and I think Miles Owens still has to run at 100% to try and get this one sorted. The monster car is waiting for a full moon to strike, and Hossens here, I think, is going to be under pressure when they come over towards Taylor's corner, and just like that, heading towards the hairpin, he postures defensive.
Is not going to be enough, though, from Sawyer to get the job done. Maybe going to rear for the switchback here, but you can see every single time he goes through that final corner, the car steps out. He's getting so eager, trying to punch the throttle, but has it paid off this time? No, it maybe even has gotten into the worst situation here as it looks to the inside, does Wallace, doesn't find the move.
No, this is very much like trying to find what you need. Look at this! Open it up at McIntyre's. Little wide goes Hossens. Little bit of door-to-door as they go through, and Tucker Sawyer finds himself with a big move there to go into third. Totally spooked the Belgian right now, who needs to get back in check and find his third position, get his inner Remco Evenepoel, or maybe even his inner Wout van Aert.
Yeah, and behind that, we almost saw Wallace try to make a move onto Hossens as well, try to capitalize on the mistake. You see Hossens go defensive into the final corner once more. That's going to allow Wallace to get a better racing. In fact, actually, that was Hossens going offensive. However, that was his best Sum 41 impression. He is in too deep.
He was, but open steering there from Tucker Sawyer protects his car over the overbrake that's there. And now the lunge on top of the straight. Sawyer has the overspeed into Duffer's Dip, and once more he covers it off and gets it inch to perfection. And just like that, Hossens has to stay in P4.
Manages it for now, but how long can he hold it? And will it be for the next 6 minutes and 20 seconds? Well, that's the question he's going to be asking himself right now, to be honest, and I'm not sure he even knows the answer.
I don't think he knows the answer of whether he's going to be able to keep that one in check, but that puts him now up to a gain of 8 in this one. Started 11th, now on the bottom step of the podium, so there are smiles then from the Americans' camp at this moment as the driver 45th in the championship sits very, very comfortably. Still though, you've got to look around at what's still there. You've got Mick Robinson and Patrick Alders, who are still together out on circuit for 9th and 10th, but once more looking backwards there for Tucker Sawyer as he looks to dive on through. The driver from Club Texas holds off the Belgian, holds off the Floridian in Tony Wallace, and keeps this race on check. But watch out behind, because there's been one driver who's not been dropping the time, and that's Tom Weston, who's now joined the back of this group, and he might posture to try and get on the podium.
Yeah, Tom Wallace has unfortunately dropped the ball on this lap. I know there are 3 bridges nearby. I wasn't sure that one of them, though, was Sterling Bridge, as Wallace there, unfortunately, is going to be a victim potentially as we go down into the braking zone. But no, not this time. Weston keeps it behind for now. However, it seems like it's a matter of when, not if.
Well, it could be a bridge over troubled water, which is what we're seeing for Tony Wallace. Tom Weston keeping himself in play, and here goes Mick Robinson from 17th on the grid, looking to try and charge, eyeing up the inside here on Patrick Alders. Not necessarily there yet, does get there alongside over the line, and now looking to try and find it, but lifts way out of it here through the opening section of road, slides a little bit over the curbs and just about gathers it back up and into position. So that's going to be big in terms of the charge out there at this point. Sawyer with a gap, Pieter Hossens now looking behind us. There's Matt Tempest, and it goes to show how tough of a day it was. He was right up there near the front, and now looking at him back in 15th. Last car on the leading lap.
Yeah, absolutely gutting. Started in P8 and now on to 15th position. We jump, though, with Stefan Dumas, who is currently in a fight, it seems, with the likes of Zegler. Or is this this is the number 32? This is a front marker, no?
Yeah, that's Michael Tannegretta in 7th position, and he's got every right to unlap himself here and go forward with his race. Michael's not really in a battle here. He's got a couple seconds to Sandovar, and that's about it. And that will just be all that's covered then as terms of these drivers go through. 3 minutes 31 left on the clock. Keep an eye out for 5th and 6th up over the chicane crest that they take the run. And look at the move that Tom Weston finds, pivoting to the inside at Clark Corner, and you know what? He doesn't need to be a clerk of the course to see that one. That was brilliantly done, but Tony Wallace trying to get the up and under in the hooligan-inspired Ken Block car out there. Long may he rest, and now on the brakes, there's still nothing there. Brilliant work by Tom Weston. He's now P5.
Yeah, high commitment overtake there and a high commitment defense as well, to be fair, and it's going to continue on right now. The number 24 car running strong as we look up ahead, though. Tom Weston still rather into the first corner, keeping everything tidy for the time being. Up ahead of him is going to be Pieter Hossens, who we've seen some weaknesses from. However, they've been sort of the minister of defense up in the top for the time being that we've seen.
Yeah, Hossens has been very good at parrying cars and keeping them behind. It's not enough for the podium at the moment because that gap has extended to Tucker Sawyer, who has done a wonderful job of bridging that gap away and doing what is needed. But right now, when you're Tom Weston, you are kind of hoping that it was Hossens in 3rd rather than Tucker Sawyer, because look at how that gap has strung out. It's now effectively a second each between them to try and navigate an extra place here and an extra place there. And with 2 minutes to go, this is a tall order.
Yeah, it certainly is, and can he do it? That's the question he'll be asking himself for the most part. Tom Weston here, kind of stuck, it seems, for the time being, lapping consistently time and time again, but not really making any progress forward. We also see up at the front, Sebastian has fallen off. It was a 2-second gap last time we checked in. Owens has checked out up at the front with about a 4-second lead.
He's done really well as Miles Owens in this race to build the margin that he's got. Tom Weston unable to catch to Pieter Hossens, still looks behind at Tony Wallace, who looks to rally once more and find himself closer. We're at 1:20 on the clock. We'll have 2 laps to go here at Knockhill on the International, because Miles Owens will cross with about 1:10 remaining on the clock. So that's going to give him all he needs to know out there at this point. Hossens still trying to give chase here to Tucker Sawyer and try and really bring that gap back down. And at the moment, 9/10 of seconds there. There is Miles Owens, simply unflappable the way he's driven so far. He was aggressive early on, but he took advantage of the incident and the gaps that he built because of it.
Yeah, sometimes a little bit of aggression pays off, you know. To finish first you have to finish, and to be fair to Miles Owens, he went a little aggressive, but it paid off at the end of the day, and it is looking all gravy for him at the top. He's even gone and extended it a bit further. I wonder if Sebastian dropped a tire into the grass there. You can see him in the background still as he comes around here, but he will be beginning the final lap here for Division 2.
Well, the one thing that's worth noting, the Taramundi machine of Laurent Sebastian has been trying to throw everything at the books and trying to make it stick. The pole sitter's been unable to keep it in front. The mistakes he's had pretty much have put pay dirt to any hopes out there. Third, fourth, fifth and sixth still rather close together. Keep an eye out on Vara and Tanner Greta as well over the final laps of this race, as well as Alders and Mick Robinson late on into this one. But Miles Owens already finds himself through the chicane, heading over towards Clark Corner in a race which he has had a luxury that few drivers have had here in the Simify MX5 World Sim Series. That is the luxury of time and space. A moment to savour for the Sim Race Sweden driver, because he knows how important it was to limit the damage, being 15th in the championship and only in Division 2. His consistency will shine come the end of the season, and Miles Owens will take Division 2 and a step closer to a space at Laguna Seca.
Yeah, indeed. And Sebastian comes a valiant P2 for the number 49 and the 49th position in the championship. Salier comes home in third for the number 45 and Pierre Hossens in fourth. It was a hard-fought effort for the top five, particularly third through fifth and even down into Wallace and Tangreta. What an exciting race, Jake.
Yeah, an incredibly exciting race, and one we can definitely say has brought everybody in for what is some great running. The last of the drivers will make their way through. Pedro Matamonaco, Willem van Rassel will be the last one over the line. Let's get confirmation of result then here from this Knockhill circuit. So this is going to be something really important. Miles Owens picks up the win, 25-41. He gets it done in ahead of Laurent Sebastian in second, and Tucker Sawyer, the last driver, on the podium in third. You then got Pieter Hossens, who tried his valiant best to defend but could manage fourth, with Tom Weston in fifth, gaining 10 places and being the hard charger, with Tony Wallace in sixth position. Michael Tanner Greta had a various amount of slowdown penalties today, but was still able to come home seventh, with Sander Vara in eighth, ahead of his compatriot there, the Dutchman Patrick Alders, and Mick Robinson continuing his consistency as he finishes in the top 10.
And on to 11th here, it is going to be Mackenzie Mann finishing off with the number 29 with Pedro Marimon in P12. Alexander Longo in 13th with William van Rossel in P14. Matt Tempest coming home in 15th there for the number 22. A lap down with Stefan Dumas. Also a lap down, Rene Ziegler, unfortunately, with a DNF, as well as Charles Kellyman.
Charles Kellyman a non-start here today, so we'll see how that goes in terms of his points. He's 44th in the championship, and he needs to be top 40 to book his place at Laguna Seca, so there's definitely that in the back of the mind to try and keep that sorted. We will step aside for the final time tonight here on the Global SimRacing Channel, because when we come back, it's Division 1 action, and it's where all the bells and all the whistles have to try and throw themselves forward. This is where the points matter. We'll be at the pointy end on the other side of this. Division 1, and we throw ourselves very quickly into racing action. Everybody is set. We've got 10 minutes earlier on the docket than we expected. So all of these drivers are sat and ready. They know how important these points are. They know what they need to do, and how they stack up is going to be big. Ade Cobra on your pole. Jason Cooper alongside with David Teron, Adnan Grosdanic and Nuno Ferrari, the top 5 with Lars Fischer, David DaCosta, Lincoln Fox, Yuan Jilin and Jaume Dalmases, championship leader P10. A huge shock in terms of qualifying out there. 21 drivers, a few drivers choosing to use a drop here today. Lights on here at Knockhill. Division 1 finds itself underway, and Ade Cobra gets a stormer off the start, off of the front, but watch the 5-star cars. They got 3 of them here today, looking to give that action and try and really charge forward with what they've got. And down in Duffer's Dip then, for the first time that they go 25 minutes of action on what should be about 27 laps worth of running, and look how Ade Cobra's almost got a second already.
Yeah, very nip and tuck early on here. All of the drivers on their best behavior here in Division 1. Up at the front, Ade Cobra being pressured by Cooper with Teron behind, and Grosdanic going for a move now to the inside, and I think managed to steal that position away. Or was that DaCosta onto Teron? No, it was Grosdanic onto DaCosta. I was right.
Well, it was DaCosta actually through on Grosdanic and dealing with Lars Fischer and co, who was there. On the brakes they go into the hairpin. Suddenly Cooper and Teron are going to have to work quickly here in this race. They can't allow El Capitan Fantastico to run away in this race. Not at these early stages. 1 lap already scored in the books, and they are battling up the top of the hill every which way you look. I think further back there it's Jaume Dalmases, who's desperate to get some progress. Remember, he's a championship leader, and he's only just managed to get by Jack Veazey, so he's back net even as they go. Fischer right now trying to give his chase in 11th at this moment as they will crest up over the chicane.
Yeah, if you're Jaume Dalmases, you definitely want to be making moves early here as you can, because it is only going to get more difficult as the race goes, and there's going to be a car off sideways there into the barrier. It looks like there might have been a little bit of contact. Up ahead, though, David Teron and Cooper, they do not care. I would like to see those two working together right now to catch the likes of Ade Cobra, because Ade Cobra already has gapped the field by almost 2 seconds.
It was Lincoln Fox. He can't catch a break. Contact with Nuno Ferreira, and it was so minuscule you can't apportion blame to it. So that happening in a blink of an eye. Grosdanic with the fastest lap of the race as he joins this group now of 4, second now to 5th, with DaCosta there, David Teron and Jason Cooper trying to give Ade Cobra a challenge, but at the moment Cobra clear by 1.92 seconds. He was so quick in qualifying. He was a full 1/10 of a second faster than anybody else, and a 1/10 of a second around here might as well be a second at a circuit like the Nürburgring Nordschleife, for example.
Yeah, pretty much. Lap times under a minute here, and we have just about a 2-mile circuit to go on. We're on board, or we're with right now Lars Fischer, who is trying to keep up, it seems, with Nuno Ferreira, and Lynn ahead in 6th and 7th position. A little bit of an issue right now, it seems, with Jaume Dalmases coming up close behind. The pressure is certainly going to be on for not just Fischer, but for Jaume as well. We mentioned championship leader. He's not leading by the biggest margin, and every point is going to matter.
It is. We can confirm that Charles Kellyman was due for this race and not the race in Division 2. That's why he was in there. He was having a little watch to see what everybody was doing and what sort of times are being set. Down the hill they go again. Fischer back there in 8th place. At this moment, he's got work to do to get to past Nuno Ferreira, who's there in 7th, to reach his teammate Yuan Jilin, who's trying to bridge the gap to 5th place and 4th, because Grosdanic, you can see there, the Bosnian and Herzegovinian driver is looking now at Dylan DaCosta for position down the inside at Taylor's hairpin, and you know what? They're doing a really good job of pinning Ade Cobra back, the gap back to 1.5.
Yeah, very nice, managing to reel that in. I'm wondering if that was a mistake from Ade, or if Cooper has sort of gotten a kick in the tail to get the move on right now. He's sitting 3rd in the championship, and this is going to be one of the best opportunities he's had thus far to catch up and close that gap.
Well, that was the first clean lap we've seen from Ade Cobra, 55.6. That's just a wake-up call from the drivers behind, 55.3s from them as they realise that's the pace we've got to run to try and hunts down Ade Koba. Of course, there is no limit to how wide you can go. Speaking of wide you can go, Yuan Jilin, the Chinese driver, finding out he'll lose the place. Speaking of which, a slowdown for Nuno Ferreira doesn't help. He'll drop the place down to Lars Fischer, and the five-star teammates now link up and think, you know what? Dylan DaCosta's fair game. Jack Veazey in trouble, the driver fifth in the championship.
Yeah, Jack Veazey got tagged by Jaime Dalmasis. That is absolutely devastating. I do not think that Jaime meant to do that by any stretch. That might have even been a little bit of netcode involved, but that was just a gutting collision to see there, unfortunately.
Oh, that's so weird, actually, from Jaime Dalmasis. I'd love to see his steering input from that, because he was in the gravel, back on, and he does tag him round, and it looks awful by the way you can see. Goes through. He might have even got a shove through the corner, and Veazey effectively got the tap. And if that is the case then, and that was retaliatory, Jaime Dalmasis is going to be in a world of trouble from the stewards.
Yeah, he certainly will. And again, I'm not sure that was fully intentional. It may have been a miscalculation, but that will be down to the stewards to be checking the throttle input and the steering input to judge that. And here at the MX5 World League, of course, or World Sim Series, excuse me, of course, we have some great stewards that are going to take care of that.
They absolutely are, and all penalties, of course, will be applied in post, and that's going to be worth keeping in mind. So I reckon there with Jaime Dalmasis, he got over the top, he got tapped on the turn, and I reckon he's deliberately angled the car in there, and that is big for the championship leader, if he might even, to the extent, get parked for a race there for something like that. But you've still got Jason Cooper going through, as he's now got the gap down to 1.3. We'll take another look here with Jaime Dalmasis. Now just watch the steering inputs then as he goes down the hill through McIntyre's here at Butcher's Corner, and I'm not sure how defensible this is going to be, because up the hill, watch the steering there. He takes a tap from behind, goes over the curves, gets in the gravel, and then he just angles himself. There's no other way of explaining it.
Yeah, it certainly at first glance, I will admit, does look rather incriminating there for Jaime Dalmasis, unfortunately. And again, the stewards will be having to deem that one either a penalty or not, and I don't envy that position.
There's Yuan Jilin in P6. The chase very much on as Adnan Grozdanic sets the official fastest lap of the race at a 55.197. Lin's teammate behind, Lars Fischer, ever dependable, ever consistent, in 11th in the championship, is there with them. It's Dylan DaCosta they're trying to get through, and behind them, Jaime Dalmasis, the championship leader, who might not be the messiah at this moment in time. He might be a very naughty boy, but he's on the back of this group, and he's just thinking, how many points can I gain?
Yeah, that's going to be really the goal at the end of the day. Make up as much ground as you can and limit damage to the maximum extent. Adnan Grozdanic is going to be the closest in the championship and is running in fourth. Now, I'm not sure that's going to be enough to gain them into the lead. However, it certainly will close that gap up. And Jaime, he wants as much of a gap as he can coming into Laguna Seca at the end of the championship.
Just remember, this is all about grid position. Where you finish in the championship run over 10 rounds determines your grid slot heading at Laguna Seca. So a front row is massive as they go through. Yuan Jilin dropping down the hill. He is all over the back of Dylan DaCosta heading to McIntyre's. A search for the inside's not there, and that leads his teammate Lars Fischer to try and want to get through. And they'll soon have Nuno Ferreira back in the group right now, and so that's going to be next on the docket. It might be a group of 5 here in about 6th position.
Yeah, and this is going to be the question for these two teammates, is do you switch positions and maybe allow the likes of Fischer to go for the overtake? It's going to be a very risky move, though, if you do decide to do so. You need to be careful of Jaime Dalmasis in the back. But right now, it seems that Yuan Jilin just cannot get by DaCosta, and they need to get the hurry up on.
Speaking of hurry up, to slow down on that last lap for Adnan Grozdanic has dropped him about 2 seconds adrift off of David Teron and Jason Cooper, so he's got a lot of work to do. Lin sees his teammate trying to pivot potentially, hoping that he's got an angle to go through, but Dylan DaCosta here, at this moment, I'm looking at the times, 55.9, so about half a second a lap off the pace of the leaders.
Yeah, not only that, you can see them exploring track limits at every opportunity, and I think right now DaCosta is pushing at 110%. That's going to allow the likes of Yuan Jilin through with ease, and next up is going to be Lars Fischer trying to make the move.
Oh, not yet. It's not done yet. And is there going to be a push to help the teammate? There is. Lars Fischer will bump to the Taylor's hairpin here. Yuanji Lin for the move. Down the inside, they rub doors. And up the hill, it's going to be all about drive. And I think it's about there from Dylan da Costa. This is going to be a big battle to Duffer's Dip. And who is going to be brave enough to go out there for it and take this position away? Pushing. Ever a while at Duffer's Dip. Da Costa and contact. Front to rear. Round goes Yuanji Lin. And there goes Jaume down the inside to steal one almost. But he'll have to run there with Dylan da Costa as they continue on this scrap. Up to the chicane. Contact for the pair of them. And they all junk.
Oh, it is absolute mayhem here right now, and that is going to be Franco Sanchez making up a couple free positions. 2 cars stranded off. Jaime Dalmasis is one of those drivers, our championship leader, getting collected in that incident, but maybe even causing it, I'm not completely sure. There was so much contact happening through this middle part of the track that it was almost hard to pay attention to.
And while all that is happening, the gap is under a second at the front. Dalmases is not giving this race up. He dives through on Michael Chase for position, who is looking to jump inside the top 40. He's 52nd currently in the championship. Joel Singleton outside the top 40. Franco Sanchez, the Peruvian, is the gatekeeper to the top 40 at the moment. And Kalle Kavisto, 46th. Looking for points. Charles Kellerman, 44th as well. A lot to dissect here, though, Mike. And this is where you need nuance. And Dylan da Costa, ultimately, those who did not want to yield.
No, they really didn't. So you see, neither driver really yielding. That's Jaime Dalmasis now sending himself fully alongside the number 9 car, and the number 9 is not going to give, and it's sort of, I don't want to call it a racing incident, concertina effect massively, but that's just what happens when 2 drivers try to negotiate for the same piece of tarmac. Changing back here with the lead, Ade Koba under threat from Cooper.
Jason Cooper has put the first half of this race to chasing down car number 6. And El Capitan and Jason Cooper come together. Cooper gets turned down at Leslie's, and suddenly the race changes again. Cooper, who had a nose at the inside, was he able to get it through? No, he just had a tag on the rear quarter panel. Almost the clearance there. The fine margins needed at Knockhill.
Yeah, that is exactly the best way to describe it. Fine margins. We're racing for millimeters when we're at this level of skill. These are some of the best drivers in the MX5 machines out there. 55s are the lap times to beat pretty much consistently time and time again, and those are very impressive here at Knockhill.
And so now the leash opens for David Teron. Cooper not out of this race. He's 4th position on board with Yuanji Lin, who's now chasing down 6th place here to Nuno Ferreira. Lars Fischer, who holds a top 5 spot. They are already 10 seconds off the race lead, but this is a train from 5th position, mind you, that goes all the way back, I would declare, to 12th place and Jaime Dalmases.
Yeah, this is, I mean, pretty much anybody's race at this stage, and it's been down to mistakes, and really that's about it. We've been seeing constant bouts of contact that have been really the big shakers for the positions for the most part. However, I don't think that's going to be the end of it just yet. We can see that David Teron is still 3/10 behind Ade Koba, and we know that Ade Koba has a little bit of damage. However, these MX5s, they don't care that much about the damage.
Well, speaking of drivers to keep an eye out on, Adnan Grozdanic in 3rd position has yet to pick up a victory in the Simify MX5 World Sim Series. He is desperate for one. He is gasping for one, and this might be one of the best opportunities he's had since Brands Hatch earlier on this season.
Yeah, he's going to continue it on for right now, doing what he can, but that is going to be Adnan Grozdanic really putting the pressure onto Teron at this time. Ade Koba, sort of the trendsetter, the pace leader right now, and just needs to keep an eye on the tarmac ahead, not his rearview mirror, and not get distracted.
Well, he knows how important it is to bring those points together. He does have 1 round in the back pocket compared to everyone else that he's using to try and get as leverage, which will come into effect at the next round of the championship. David Terron, number 27 in the championship, also has some buffer in the back pocket to use. Grozdanic, second overall. Jason Cooper, third overall in the championship. So those points become really important when it's best 7 of 10. Up over the top of the hill, Terron is not close enough to get that launch down the hill at Duffer's Dip. But what he'll do is he'll force Adekoba to drive at 100% every time he can. He'll force the Simify Esports driver to just look in his mirrors a little bit more. This is why this is the most intense series out there in the world of sim racing. There is always a battle for the race win.
Yeah, and this is really a true testament of these drivers as well. You can see the gap that they put onto Lars Fischer just already. 10 seconds is the gap as they have a nice little fight to contend with themselves in for P5, but we're going to keep an eye on this battle for the potential race lead as Adekoba tries to hold on from David Terron with Adnan Grozdanic behind Jason Cooper in 4th and Lars Fischer behind in 5th.
Well, Terron's compatriot leads this race, but David Terron himself has been very quiet in this one. He's just been whittling away. He's just been positioning himself perfectly. We've not seen an air of aggression out of car 27 at all. Look back at the second group, though, because you got Fischer, Ferreira, and Yuanji Lin, and they're trying to keep at bay the group being led by the 10th driver in the championship, Per Sandberg, as behind Sandberg through goes Jaume Dalmases as he jumps through Joel Singleton, who's on the outside searching for mega points here today to help his championship challenge towards Laguna Seca.
Yeah, it's a little bit of deja vu for Jaume Dalmases right now as he's found himself right where he started back in P10. Now, we obviously know that was due to the collision that we saw earlier. Jaume been involved in a couple here tonight. Certainly might be a little bit of a race to forget for this gentleman tonight, but it'll be one to look forward to in the next race.
Watch out, because David Terron was closing. He lifts out of it, though. Doesn't want to go out there at Duffer's Dip. He's seen what's happened to his teammate when you can't get guaranteed alongside. Adekoba is going to use everything he can to try and battle and gain what he must out there. Up over the top of the hill then, through the crest of the chicane. And look at the run Grozdanic got behind. He really closed up. 1, 2 and 3 can throw a blanket over them. How good's the run now from David Terron? It's a little bit easier if you try and make this move over towards chicane. And now defending for the first time really here at Taylor's is Adekoba towards the hairpin. There's the big long lunge then from David Terron, tries the mega line, and he has to try and gather it back up on the exit, and suddenly Grozdanic has a chance to make the move for second.
Yeah, he has the inside line, does Grozdanic, but Terron has the momentum. That's one of the advantages of taking that outside line. These cars are so important to gain the momentum on. The slingshot effect is very, very crucial as they go down the first chicanes. They are nip and tuck. This is going to be Adnan Grozdanic battling, though, with Franco Sanchez alongside into the first corner. Somebody, again, they have to give. Going side by side is not really an option through the first chicane into the dipper, and Adnan Grozdanic goes for the second part of the corner. Looks like he's going to be able to find it, but no, he has to back out.
He does, and you can see the gap starting to form. Franco Sanchez here is in a very precarious predicament with Dalmases, the championship leader, behind, and Per Sandberg, he wants to try and get through in front, but it's not an easy cut and dry situation. Every single point matters. Every single time you're going out there, you're thinking, how many rows of positions am I jeopardizing myself in this race if I can't find the move? And someone like Franco Sanchez, who's going to be lucky to even be on the grid in 40th, is thinking, this is a mega shot for me to gain some time in some places. And Yuanji Lin now is trying to line up a move, but he's not going to be in a place to make Nuno Ferreira sweat.
No, not just yet, but he does have his teammate ahead. Now, you can do a little bit of cheeky plays if you are careful enough, and you can maybe, just maybe, back the likes of Ferreira up into Lin, allowing an overtake to happen. However, that is going to potentially open up the opportunity for Fischer to get overtaken by Ferreira. It's a gamble, but it certainly could pay off for these teammates at the end of the team championship.
We're down to just 6.5 minutes. It's 4 drivers at the front of this field. 1 and 4 in this race have already come together in this one. We are watching the battle for 5th, 6th and 7th as Yuanji Lin tries desperately to find a way past Nuno Ferreira, who is using all of Lars Fischer's pace to just hold off the Chinese driver. The Portuguese man is doing everything possible to get a strong finish. And Nuno Ferreira's not been flashy this season. He's not got the massive point tools that we've seen from him, as Dalmases now puts himself in the picture, and smoke goes flying absolutely everywhere out there because Franco Sanchez has found himself off the road down at Duffer's Dip.
That's absolutely gutting for the Peruvian driver, as those points were going to be very welcome to them. But now we see David Terron trying to take the lead of the race here, going around the outside of Adekoba. This could potentially set up the exit, but he gets loose as he tries to lay down the power. Now may even be coming under contact for pressure from behind of Grozdanic, but all three drivers have to go nip and tuck once again as they go into the first few chicanes. Thinks about it, trying to keep the likes of Koba honest, but doesn't make him unsettled.
Well, he was as loose enough to kick off his Sunday shoes, and Sunday is the night for fighting, unlike Saturday, Mr. Elton John. This is where you get amazing sim racing, and we're seeing it right now. 1, 2, 3, and 4, all looking to push, and Adekoba once more holds his defense and holds his nerve, and David Terron right now is looking for what he can, and again he picks up the run, but once more Adekoba on the railway straight is going to go all the way to the right hand side, go full gauge on that run, and David Terron has got to master the outside of Taylor's hairpin. So tough to do, and he's got to pick up the run for Duffer's Dip, and for the first time Adekoba all the way to the inside to defend. David Terron will not look with 4:22 on the clock, because he realises that Ade will just have a chance to strike back. Now you've got to be clever, Mr. Terron.
Yeah, Terron managed to find that line. If he can repeat that one a few times and a mistake from Adekoba, he'll find himself in the lead. But as it stands, the blink of an eye separating all of these drivers, 2/10 between each of them. And just in case you were curious, the heart of the America's smallest mammal, the pygmy shrew, could beat 5 times in that time frame.
Yes, it can, and soon David Terron is going to be looking around and thinking, well, what happens when Adnan Grozdanic starts to attack? What if my teammate Jason Cooper, who's third in the championship, looks for points? And slightly defensive goes Grozdanic here in third position, because Jason Cooper was looking to line one up. Not often that we've been seeing that. Cooper's been stuck on the back, looking at these three, thinking I had the race lead for all of about half of a main straight here at Knockhill, hoping I was going to get my shot, but might not even get a podium. 3:23, and Adekoba over the crest then at Duffer's Dip, down the hill, then through Leslie's corner, now here at turn 3 at McIntyre's, looks to open up the chance then and go for a little bit more, up over the chicane then at 5 and 6. Jim Clark corner comes along next, and Adekoba has everybody at an Antoine Dupont arm's length.
As they continue on that arm's length, there is going to be the run from Terron potentially in the slipstream, moves to the outside. That's going to be Adekoba going defensive once again. He's consistently having to defend the outside line or the inside line in the final corner, and you can see mastering it is Terron, but also from behind, Grozdanic is potentially going to make himself known. Side by side now, the exit is finally there. Has Terron finally found it, or are they going to clatter into the first corner? It's going to be all down to Adekoba, late enough onto the brakes, and yes, he is. That allows Adnan Grozdanic alongside. He takes the inside line and takes it from Terron.
So passive from David Terron. He did all the hard work, and just like that, Adnan Grozdanic sneaks into second, and David Terron can only look at himself there and just think, I left way too much of a gap, no confidence on the outside of Duffer's Dip, and he will realise now it is up to Adnan Grozdanic, the driver who has been unable this season to find a victory any which way he looks, second in the championship, to throw what he can at the wall and hope it sticks against El Capitan Fantastico, Adekoba. But Adnan's got a couple of laps that he's got to throw it together, and you've also got the interesting situation of, does Jason Cooper sneak away onto the podium against his teammate David Terron, because the 5-star cars look completely out of it for the race win right now.
Yeah, and it does look like the team orders is not going to be too much in play either. Jason Cooper, you can see him eking into the mirrors there of David Taron, trying to find any which way he can. Nice sideway lunge there, as that's going to allow him to potentially get a little bit better of an exit, but no, not this time around. They have to go nip and tuck.
Well, Adnan Grozdanic, what do you have in your back pocket? He's desperate to try and pull in with that slipstream, running at 170 kilometers an hour into Taylor's hairpin for the penultimate time. This is for 9th, 10th, and 11th as well, so there's battles everywhere. Slow down penalty, it looks like, out there for Per Sandberg. He'll drop behind Scriffignano, and he'll drop behind Joel Singleton then as we head towards the final lap of this race. And you got to go up to the front now, because Grozdanic maybe only has one chance to win this race, and it will come at Taylor's hairpin, which has been covered on the railway straight every time by Ade Koba. How close do you want it? As wide will go Teron, and Jason Cooper moves up into third, heading to the chicane through Rory Butcher's corner. Now Cooper might have a shot late. It's all about run now through Jim Clark. This is the setup. This is the moment that Grozdanic needs. But Ade Koba has been simply sublime at defending what he's got with a race lead. A second and a half he found it. He feels he's safe, but there could be a lunge coming as Jason Cooper drives it deep. Grozdanic tries to get the nose on the inside, but it's not there. El Capitan is at it again, and he's had to get his elbows out this time. Drag race for second. Cooper, I think he might have stolen it. He has by 15,000. Ade Koba wins. Jason Cooper second, and Adnan Grozdanic must settle for third.
You couldn't script this championship if you tried. A photo finish at the very end for the likes of P2 and P3. That is going to be very welcome, and Cooper is going to be elated at the end of that, just stealing it out by 15 thousandths of a second.
Wow. That was a race on races. Albert Palahi will be one of the last finishers over the line. Everybody will finish this one that started 49 seconds down or so. Edward Gross will be the last one over towards the line in 21st position, but a truly incredible bit of sim racing we have just had. El Capitan Fantastico. He had to go a bit Homelander here today with contact with Jason Cooper, but he did just enough. And sometimes when you're fighting for a championship like this, you got to be a little bit ruthless, and that's what Ade Koba was. He wins by a quarter of a second over Jason Cooper, who had to recover from a 2-second spin to get back and steal that position on the line from Adnan Grozdanic. David Teron will finish in fourth and will rue his passivity here today. He had a real shot of victory if he could have just stuck it at Duffer's Dip. Lars Fischer would have led the best of the rest there in fifth, ahead of his teammate Yuan Jilin in sixth, with Nuno Ferreira seventh, and Jaume Dalmases. There's a lot to talk about with him and Jack Veazey. There will be a lot of words there after the checkered flag with him and his performance out there today. Joel Singleton will finish ninth. A big day for the number 48, with Philip Scriffignano getting a very consistent top 10 for the German.
Yeah, and on to the bottom 10 here. We have Per Sandberg coming home in 11th, with Michael Chase in 12th, just behind by about a second. Even Bremer in 13th position, Lincoln Fox in 14th, and Franco Sanchez, a devastating 14th result. A lot more on the cards potentially there for the Peruvian driver. Just dropped it on the last few laps. Charles Kellyman comes home in 16th, with Kale Cavizzo in 17th. Jack Veazey, again, another controversial topic, in 18th position, with Albert Palahi in 19th, and rounding out your top 20 is Dylan DaCosta.
One last driver, Edward Gross, would be in 21st position, 50 seconds down. No drivers a lap down, and this is going to be one of those races you just sit down and go, what just happened? Because it went off like a bombshell here. It was one of those that you just sit down and go, how much is there to decipher when you consider they will have 3 rounds left in this season? They are going to be on their summer break, so no race next time out in August. We'll be back in September for the next round of the championship. But when you sit down, when you look at it, when you analyze all of that, Mike, Ade Koba goes in with a load of confidence. So too will Jason Cooper, because he had a lot of pace. Grozdanic is ever consistent, and everybody else will be looking at Jaume Dalmases thinking, where is that bad day?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's going to be the one to forget here for Jaime Dalmasis, and hopefully he can just recover and look forward to the next races. And again, the stewards will be on that one with Adnan Grozdanic still, I would imagine, going to be in second or even potentially leading this championship. I know that coming into the summer break, though, it is going to be some shakeups, as there was quite a few out-of-place drivers finishing much higher than they might have expected.
Well, we're going to get the chance to talk to one of our drivers here. Jason Cooper joins us right now, finishing off today in second position. Jason, your start and finish position really don't tell the story of how you had to really work in this one. Ade pulled a 2.5 seconds in the opening 2 laps. You and David were able to really claw that gap back. But I think the main talking point for you was Duffer's Dip. Just talk us through what happened between you and Ade.
Yeah, the first lap did not go very well. I actually got a slowdown on the very first corner. Somehow managed to serve it within a couple of corners, which I was not expecting, because normally if you get a slowdown on the first lap, it's like game over. But yeah, then I was a bit unsettled for a couple of laps, we call it, because I didn't want to do it again. And then I got into my rhythm and started to close the gap down. And then, I thought I had moved down into the first corner, but just looked at the replay. There was just a bit of netcode. I think Ade was having some internet issues in that race because he was flashing in and out a couple of times. So yeah, it was unfortunate. But yeah, I made my way back onto the lead group. I think we all had a few slowdowns at some point. And then on that last corner, just got Adnan got a bit deep on the brakes, and I managed to get him around the outside on the run to the line.
So managing to recover back to P2, just talk about how tough this championship is over the course of the year, because you've got the best sim racing drivers in the world out there. Any one of 15 drivers any given day can come out there and potentially pick up a race victory. So for you, coming into today in third, finishing second today, gaining more points on the championship, Jaime having a bad day at the office, just talk through how tough this championship has been for you for the past 2 years.
Oh yeah, the level of driver in this series at the moment is really high. So yeah, finishing anywhere in the top code positions is a massive achievement, let alone winning a race. So yeah, happy with today's result, even there's a few setbacks there. Definitely probably better than the rest of the championship's gone so far this year. Had a few issues along the way, but hopefully we can sort them out for the rest of the season.
Drop rounds are going to be important. Now, you've got a month off here, of course, in August, but when September rolls around, it will be Phillip Island as the next round for you to challenge. A circuit a lot different here than the circuit, of course, of Knockhill. Still got the elevation change, but definitely built for overtaking. Are you expecting a much tougher challenge in terms of positioning battles out there overall to try and get a victory sorted next time out?
Oh yeah, this track was all of Knockhill was very technical. It's very difficult to overtake, and yeah, Phillip Island is very much the opposite of that. Fast flowing, big draft track. So yeah, that one will be an interesting race, I'm sure.
Well, the floor is yours, Jason, over at 5 Star Motorsport. Anybody you'd like to thank? It is second position overall and a really hard-fought 25 minutes for you.
Yeah, thanks obviously to my teammates, give me a bit of a motivation to do a little bit of practice. Obviously you guys for doing the stream, enjoy watching that back each week, and obviously Sander for organising the league, and obviously all the drivers that turn up and race each week. It wouldn't be anything without those.
There's definitely no slip of the tongue there, Jason. This is a dream championship and nobody can say otherwise. Jason Cooper joining us there and picking up second place overall. But Mike, we got to talk about what's coming up for these two races series that is coming up next. Not only is it Phillip Island for the World Sim Series, but you've got the club series heading to Rudskogen.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting in the next one. And as we get closer and closer to Laguna Seca, the championship finals, every single point is going to matter. And we saw Jason Cooper finish ahead of Adnan Grozdanic, which is going to close the championship up just slightly. Shouldn't be shaking those two around. However, again, every point matters. And especially at Laguna Seca, you need to maximize your starting positions.
When there's no qualifying on the line there, your qualifying is the course of a whole year's worth of championship. This will bring over Knockhill and Summit Point to a close. I want to give a massive thanks to the team who's got it done today, from Mike, of course, from Daniel, and from Dougie. You can catch all of the amazing equipment and software that has helped bring this show over to you, and that includes the music you found by June Lalonde. You can catch her stuff on Bandcamp if you haven't had the chance to already. What will be scrolling across your screen over the next few moments are going to be some of the shows that we have coming up here at the Global Sim Racing Channel. You're definitely going to want to mark them in your calendars and make sure that you are not missing a moment of GSRC action, as well as follow our socials, which you can see on the bottom, along with our website, and head over to our merch store, gsrc.storenvy.com, to get your 0.2 of a second advantage when you are wearing some of our merch on our shows. But with everything kept in mind, Koba had to go full Homelander to make sure that El Capitan Fantastico is still the darling of the MX5 World Sim Series. He had to really work hard for that one today. No guarantees ever in this championship, but he moves one step closer towards pole position when Laguna Seca rolls around. There are 3 rounds left. We are in drop round territory from this moment onwards. The Club Series goes to Norway and to the Rudskogen Motor Centre, which will prove to be a very tough hilly affair for those who are looking around. Christian Bissarov and Luis Suarez and co. But for Ade Koba, for the entire group, Jaume Dalmasas, Jason Cooper, Adnan Grozdanic, and all the names up at the front of the field, they'll be heading to a land down under. Phillip Island will await them, and the likes of Lukey Heights will seem so much of a sore. We will see you in 2 months for that championship, where the MX5 World Sim Series continues to showcase why it is the single greatest league series in the world of sim racing today.